Well, good morning. Good morning, everybody. Thank you for having us today. It's an honor to be here with all of you and learn and explore together. I was just thinking as I was listening to you, already the keynote and your presentation, the bar is already set very high, but I appreciate the challenge to be the next speaker for all of you. The title of my presentation, I think, fits very well what I want to focus on today, customer focus. We call it real estate products at our company. As we already heard, industrialized construction is a very complex topic, has a lot of aspects to it, and at Implenia, we are currently on an innovation journey to integrate that solution into our offering as well from the perspective of real estate development. And as we're going through that journey, we always ask ourselves and question ourselves, how can we make sure we don't get lost, we don't get sidetracked, we don't get too excited by technology or anything like that. And so what we realized is always keeping the eye on the customer and their needs is very important. And so what I'm going to present to you in the next couple of minutes is really through the lens of focusing on the customer. As a quick intro, let me tell you what we do and why we do it. Many of you know, and I think this room is very well aware of, that if you think about real estate development, most projects are very much a one-off project. It's a bespoke project. Essentially, every building is a prototype. As was just shared, that has a lot of benefits. That's great, but it also has its challenges. And within our company, we're about 9,000 people. Our division is focused on real estate. And within the division real estate, we ask ourselves, can we innovate that process? Can we do something different other than always starting off with a one-off project? And the answer is productization for us. What do I mean by that? I'm going to go through this quickly because I'm sure most of you understand this very well. But if you put on your real estate development lens and you think about how you go through a project development, well, it typically starts with a site and an idea to build a hotel or a mall or a restaurant or whatever. And then you put together your team of architects, engineers, partners, and I'm simplifying this, but I mean, you come up with a great design. Once you have the design, you do 1,000 things, and then you do your construction work, traditional construction, and ta-da, there is your building. If it's a hotel, then you maybe add your brand, and you start operating that asset. And that works, but again, it's a one-off process. And we thought about how can we change that for us to make it faster and more efficient. And that's where we came up with the approach of the product. So it's a two-prong approach. First, you need a product. And by a product, I mean a standardized solution, both on the design end. So if you think about any sort of real estate asset category, let's take hotels. Within a hotel, you have a lot of repeatable elements. Hotel rooms, the best example, they are repeated over and over within a single building. But if you build 5 hotels, technically you can also repeat them from hotel to hotel. And so if you productize that element, like Legos, then you have a kit of parts that you can use going forward throughout all your projects. And so when you then go through a project development, real estate project development with a product, you don't start off with the land and then you put together a team that comes up with the bespoke design. Rather, you start off with the land, you take your configurator, you pull data from your design library, and you configure a potential building. Once you have that, and again, I'm simplifying the process, you then obviously can build that building. And since you designed these Lego pieces once before, you incorporated all the advantages that industrialized construction can offer into the design. And so the delivery of the project is not just traditional construction anymore. Rather, it has a lot of industrialized elements in it. And I'm going to try to keep this short, but why are we doing this? For reasons we're all familiar with. One very important one, the need for speed. If you have a preset design, your design process, the duration of that shrinks. But of course, as other speakers will probably go into more in detail, when you use prefabrication, industrialized construction, your schedule on site tends to also become shorter. And the other big element is the performance. The previous speaker called it, at the end of the day, it's about cost, it's about money. Of course, there's other elements to the performance, such as taking out risks. If you prefabricate, you have less change orders, so there's less surprises. You know what you're putting into your building, but it's the performance that also matters. And that's why we decided to go onto this journey of innovating with products. And now coming back to give you some concrete insights, what we've learned along this journey, some takeaways. And I really want to focus on this topic, customer. This is not a journey you take in 2 weeks. This is a long journey. This encompasses a lot of things. It encompasses change management. During the keynote address, the word new business model was mentioned. So there's a lot that goes into it. And you have to make sure you keep your focus. You keep an eye on the prize. And I think focusing on the customer is key when you do this. And I will give some concrete examples in a second. And the other thing we established in our team is these 3 guiding principles: simplicity, adaptability, and circularity, where I will also give some concrete examples of what we've done so far on our journey. Starting with the customer, with the focus on the customer. When you do real estate, as I'm sure many of you are aware, who is the customer? Well, it's a multi-stakeholder topic. Of course, everybody can picture the end user, your tenant, your hotel guest, but that's not the only person that cares about the building and how it's built and how it works. You also have the operator, the hotel operator, the airport operator, and they need to also be satisfied with the performance. And of course, money talks. There's always the investment case as well, right? Every project is its own business case that has to be successful. So you have a multi-stakeholder situation where you need to address all their needs. And what we've done on our journey of developing and implementing products at our company is really focus on understanding what these stakeholders need. What makes a great product? Because a great product ships, and not so great product doesn't really ship. To really understand what they need, we don't want to just rely on gut feelings or assumptions. We really want to understand it. And I'll give you one concrete example of how we do that. Our team is currently developing one product for a residential product for the age group of 55 and upwards, so maybe empty nesters, but also people in their golden years, for the Swiss and German market. And we really wanted to understand, and I'll show you the example from the end user perspective, what do people care about in that segment? And can't go into all of it. There is a 20-page or so white paper that is actually downloadable if any of you are interested. We did a lot of research. What do these people care about? What will make the product great for them? I think in Germany we used over 1,000 participants in the analysis, in Switzerland a bit less, maybe 400. And we got a lot of insights that then inform how you actually conceptualize and design your product. And here's an example. Everybody finds, obviously, health and well-being very important in that part of their life. Maybe also other parts, but in that part in particular. And so when you decide to go down the road of developing a product that we then use in our real estate development projects, you focus on that, how that manifests in design and so forth. That can be different things. It can be materiality, it can be color scheme, it can be anything you want it to be, but it informs your decision, and that's, I think, important to design the product. We're not driven by just the construction method or a new material that came out, but really, what does the customer care? What will the market appreciate? Now, let me give you some examples. On the other side, I also talked about simplicity, adaptability, and circularity. Simplicity is, well, it's a simple word, but it's very hard to explain. What you can do, or what happens a lot, in my opinion, if you go down the productization approach is what we just saw. You start off with the idea of, I'm going to have 4 bathroom pods, and in the end, you have a great assortment of 50 of them. But, I mean, the standardization is gone, and that's very hard. What you see here, the graph under simplicity, depicts how we developed a hospitality product, so hotels, where one module, it's always the same timber module, same structural setup, same MEP setup, can nonetheless serve different room types. You change how you set up the room, you change certain finishes, but the rest stays exactly the same, so that when you go into your execution, you limit the amount of variants that you actually have to focus on during your production and construction phase. Adaptability is another key element. The challenge, and it was mentioned in the keynote, is that with standardization often comes this rigidness that makes it very hard to apply your products to the various projects, to the site, but also the business goals of the site. And so in one way, on a certain level, you can resolve that issue in the design. For example, in our residential product, there are certain dimensions that we have some spiel that we can adjust to optimize the usage of the site. The other thing, of course, is you need the proper tools to actually adapt your product to the specific projects you're looking at. I'm not showing it here, but I encourage you, if you're interested, go online, go even on LinkedIn or something, look at our videos. We have an in-house configurator of how we then actually apply these products to the site and optimize them according to the project site requirements. The last topic, I'm going to keep it very short because I know there's a whole section in the afternoon focusing on sustainability, but it was mentioned before, circularity is another piece that you can tackle in a different way if you productize properly. First of all, it's a little bit like the packaging, the food packaging. When you design your products, when you design your design library, you actually know what's in it, and you know that you will always put the same thing in it. So it's a little bit like when you read what's in your Coca-Cola, even though you don't understand it, you know what's in it. And the same applies to, I think, productization. The other thing, of course, is you can also consciously think about how you can maybe adjust your material choice, and even more importantly, in my opinion, how you connect the different materials so that at a later stage, recycling, et cetera, is better possible. So I showed you how we try to focus on the customer needs to stay on track, and how we use these three principles on our journey to make decisions in the focus. Now, to round up my, my presentation, I'll show you another example of customer focus. At Implenia, at Real Estate Products, we also offer a service, real estate product development as a service. And what you see here is for a German client, a German hotel development company, their name is Rubis. We had the honor of developing a real estate product on their behalf. And it started with a vague idea on their side of we want to have a standardized solution that we can apply to our future development project that is based on timber, maybe timber modules. And so what we did is we worked closely with them to really figure out what is the programming of this product, what are the KPIs that they want to achieve, similar to what I shared with you a minute ago about this age group of 55 plus. Really understanding what are the needs of the different stakeholders in this product for the client to be successful with it going forward. After that, we went through the schematic design, and then the fully developed design, also looked at the supply chain piece, of course, the supply chain design, how can this actually be produced in a meaningful way, leveraging off-site construction and so forth. A long process, but in the end, we developed the product for them. And to validate at the end again that we really met the customer needs, we built this, I call it a prototype, or you can call it a high-fidelity mock-up. To really look at it again from all kinds of angles. We went inside to look at it from the end user, the hotel guest's point of view. Of course, the operator also looked at it. How does that work for me to clean the room? How can I optimize it to bring down operating costs? But last not least, also, of course, and now with the early projects, looking at how that works more from the development side of view, the investment point of view. And that has been a very powerful tool to us to validate what we're doing, that it will actually be received well in the market. And so to close this, I'd like to leave you with this thought that always looking at the customer to figure out what your next step should be has been a very valuable insight for us. Thank you very much.